Number 1. This 1947 Pontiac Torpedo Deluxe, currently listed at $8,500 in Kearney, Nebraska, is a true post-war American classic that combines originality, vintage charm, and endless custom potential into one unique package. Built during the late 1940s, this Pontiac comes from an era when American automakers were transitioning out of wartime production and returning to civilian vehicles with fresh energy and optimism. Cars from this period carried a bold and elegant design language, featuring rounded body lines, large fenders, and strong chrome details that gave every vehicle a distinctive personality. The Pontiac Torpedo Deluxe was one of those cars that instantly stood out on the road, and even today, it continues to capture attention with its unmistakable vintage presence. What makes this particular example especially interesting is how original it appears to be. According to the seller, the car is basically all original, preserving much of the authentic character that made these Pontiacs so desirable in the late 1940s. In a classic car world filled with heavy modifications and modern conversions, finding a mostly untouched survivor like this can be very appealing to collectors and enthusiasts alike. Under the hood, the car is powered by a flat 6 engine paired with a traditional 3-on, the tree manual transmission. For those unfamiliar with the term, that means the 3-speed manual shifter is mounted on the steering column instead of the floor, a setup that was extremely common during the era. Driving a car like this offers a completely different experience compared to modern vehicles. Every shift feels mechanical and connected, creating a direct relationship between the driver and the machine. The seller states that the Pontiac runs, drives, stops, and shifts great, which is impressive considering the vehicle's age. Many classics from this period often require extensive mechanical restoration before they can safely return to the road, but this Torpedo Deluxe appears ready to be enjoyed immediately. In fact, the seller mentions cruising the car home at around 50 miles per hour on the highway after purchasing it, proving that this vintage Pontiac is still capable of real road use nearly 80 years later. Several maintenance upgrades have already been completed, including new shifter bushings, a new exhaust system, and a new intake manifold gasket. These updates help improve drivability and reliability while still preserving the original nature of the car. According to the seller, the vehicle does not leak, which is another major positive for a classic from the 1940s. One of the most eye-catching details about this Pontiac is its overall appearance. Finished in black with a gray interior, the car carries a timeless and understated style that perfectly matches its era. The addition of 15-inch red steel wheels paired with fat white wall bias ply tires gives the car a classic custom look straight out of vintage Americana. Even parked, the car has a strong visual identity that immediately attracts attention. The seller also mentions that the vehicle could serve as a parade car, a town cruiser, or even the foundation for a future lowrider or custom build. That flexibility is part of what makes older American cars so popular in car culture. Some enthusiasts prefer preserving them in original condition, while others see them as blank canvases for creative custom projects inspired by traditional hot rod and lowrider culture. The body style of the Pontiac Torpedo Deluxe naturally lends itself well to customization because of its smooth curves and flowing proportions. It already has the kind of shape that custom builders look for when creating traditional 1950s style custom cars. At the same time, its originality also makes it appealing for someone who simply wants an authentic vintage cruiser without heavy modifications. Another nice bonus mentioned by the seller is the included aluminum radiator, even though the current radiator is still working properly. This provides additional flexibility for future upgrades if the next owner decides to modernize the cooling system later on. Cars like this represent a completely different era of automotive history, a time when vehicles were built with simplicity, durability, and personality. There are no digital screens, no driving modes, and no complicated electronics. Instead, every drive becomes an experience filled with mechanical sounds, manual controls, and nostalgic character that modern cars simply cannot recreate. For classic car enthusiasts, this Pontiac offers something increasingly difficult to find: affordability combined with authenticity. At its price point, it presents an accessible entry into the world of vintage American automobiles while still offering strong potential for enjoyment, preservation, or customization. Whether used as a weekend cruiser, a local show car, a parade vehicle, or the beginning of a future custom build, this 1947 Pontiac Torpedo Deluxe carries the spirit of classic American motoring everywhere it goes. In the end, this is more than just an old Pontiac. It is a rolling piece of post-war automotive history that still runs, still drives, and still reminds people of a time when cars were built with style, individuality, and character that could never truly be duplicated. Number 2. This 1956 Chevrolet four-door wagon, currently listed at $32,500 and located in Mentone, California, is a beautifully preserved classic cruiser that blends iconic 1950s American styling with practical upgrades and timeless family wagon charm. The 1956 Chevrolet lineup has long been considered one of the most recognizable designs of the decade. From its sweeping chrome trim to its bold front grille and unmistakable two-tone aerobody lines, this generation of Chevrolet perfectly captured the optimism and excitement of post-war America. And while many people focus on the more famous two-door models, wagons like this have developed a strong following of their own because of their rarity, usability, and unique vintage personality. Finished in blue with a matching blue interior, this wagon delivers the kind of coordinated classic look that immediately stands out at shows, cruise nights, or weekend drives. The long roof design gives the car a commanding presence, while still maintaining the sleek styling that made mid-1950s Chevrolets so desirable. Under the hood sits a 327 cubic inch V8 engine paired with a 4-barrel carburetor, giving this classic wagon significantly more power and performance than many original factory setups from the era. The 327 is one of Chevrolet's most respected small-block V8 engines, known for its reliability, smooth operation, and strong aftermarket support. It provides a perfect balance between classic character and real-world drivability. Backing the V8 is a 2-speed automatic transmission, offering a smooth and comfortable cruising experience that fits the personality of this car perfectly. Instead of being an aggressive muscle build, this Chevrolet feels more like a relaxed boulevard cruiser, something designed for enjoying the open road at a comfortable pace while turning heads everywhere it goes. One of the biggest advantages of this wagon is the addition of modernized front 11-inch disc brakes. For classic cars of this size and age, upgraded brakes make a huge difference in confidence and safety during everyday driving. It is the kind of practical improvement that helps preserve the car's usability without taking away from its vintage feel. Visually, the car appears to have been very well cared for. The seller describes the body and paint as nice, and the chrome and trim are also said to be in strong condition. On a 1950s Chevrolet, chrome plays a major role in the overall presentation, and when properly maintained, it gives the car a bright, elegant appearance that reflects the era's love for bold styling and detail. The wagon rides on American chrome wheels, adding a slightly custom touch while still fitting the classic look of the vehicle. Combined with the blue paint and vintage proportions, the overall appearance balances originality with tasteful personalization. Inside, the factory-style blue interior remains clean and classic. Large bench seating, simple dashboard controls, and spacious passenger room all remind you that family wagons during the 1950s were built to combine comfort with practicality. Unlike modern SUVs overloaded with technology, this Chevrolet offers a far more analog and nostalgic driving environment. Mechanically, the seller states that the car runs, drives, and stops exactly as it should, which is a major advantage for anyone wanting a vintage car that can actually be enjoyed on the road instead of sitting permanently in a garage. It also comes with a clean California title in the seller's name, adding confidence to the transaction. Being a California car is another positive detail. Vehicles from California are often highly sought after because the dry climate tends to preserve bodies and reduce severe rust issues compared to cars from colder states with harsh winters. At an asking price of $32,500, this 1956 Chevrolet wagon represents more than just a classic car. It represents an era when American automobiles were designed with personality, optimism, and style. Wagons like this were once the heart of family road trips, weekend adventures, and everyday life during the golden age of American motoring. Today, this Chevrolet stands as both a nostalgic time capsule and a practical vintage cruiser, offering the kind of charm and road presence that modern vehicles simply cannot recreate. Number 3. This 1940 Ford Coupe, currently listed at $35,000, is located in Castle Rock, Colorado. This beautifully restored 1940 Ford Coupe captures everything enthusiasts love about early American hot rods and pre-war automotive styling. With its smooth flowing fenders, iconic rounded body design, and unmistakable road presence, the 1940 Ford has remained one of the most respected and desirable classic coupes in automotive history. Finished in a striking blue exterior paired with a matching blue interior, this coupe delivers a clean and coordinated appearance that immediately stands out. The color combination gives the car a bold yet timeless personality, enhancing the elegant curves and chrome details that made the 1944 design so legendary among collectors and custom builders alike. According to the seller, the vehicle has been restored and is fully ready to be enjoyed both on the road and at car shows. That combination is important because many classics are either built strictly for display or only practical for occasional driving. This Ford aims to offer both show-quality presentation while still maintaining real-world drivability. One of the biggest highlights of this vehicle is the freshly overhauled engine. A complete engine overhaul is a major investment in any classic car because it addresses the heart of the vehicle's performance and reliability. The seller states that the engine runs perfectly, giving confidence that the car is mechanically healthy and capable of dependable cruising. Unlike unfinished restoration projects that require constant repairs and hidden expenses, this Ford appears to already be sorted and road-ready. That means the next owner can spend more time enjoying the car and less time dealing with major mechanical work. With approximately 90,999 miles shown, this coupe has clearly lived a long life while still surviving in excellent condition. Cars from this era are becoming increasingly difficult to find in complete and restored form, especially examples that maintain both visual appeal and functional drivability. Driving a 1940 Ford Coupe is a completely different experience compared to modern vehicles. Everything feels more connected and mechanical, from the steering feedback to the sound of the engine and the operation of the manual transmission. It creates a level of engagement that modern cars often lack due to heavy electronics and driver assistance systems. The manual transmission especially adds to the authenticity of the driving experience. Shifting gears manually in a classic coupe like this creates a direct connection between the driver and machine, turning every drive into an experience rather than simple transportation. The 1944 design itself also holds a very special place in automotive culture. Over the decades, these coupes became icons in the hot rod community because of their perfect body proportions and customization potential. Even today, many enthusiasts consider the 1940 Ford Coupe one of the most beautiful American car designs ever produced. This particular example appears to maintain that classic spirit, while also benefiting from restoration work that allows it to remain usable and enjoyable today. The seller specifically describes it as stunning, and vehicles like this often become attention magnets anywhere they appear, from local gas stations to major car events. Inside the cabin, the matching blue interior helps preserve the car's coordinated vintage appearance. The overall presentation reflects the style and craftsmanship that make restored classics feel special compared to ordinary modern vehicles. What makes a car like this truly appealing is the emotional experience it delivers. It is not about modern technology, touchscreens, or fuel economy. Instead, it is about sound, design, nostalgia, and the feeling of driving a piece of living automotive history. At car shows, a 1940 Ford Coupe almost always attracts attention because it represents a golden era of American design before post-war styling completely changed the industry. The shape, stance, and craftsmanship instantly connect with both older enthusiasts and younger generations discovering classic cars for the first time. At $35,000, this restored 1940 Ford Coupe positions itself as a strong option for collectors or enthusiasts looking for a ready-to-drive classic with proven style and timeless appeal. This is not just an old car. It is a rolling piece of American automotive heritage, restored to be admired, driven, and enjoyed for years to come. Number 4. This 1948 Chevrolet Style Master, currently listed at $30,000, is located in Edgewood, New Mexico. Some classic cars rely on flashy descriptions or long modification lists to grab attention. But every once in a while, a vehicle appears that speaks mostly through its presence alone. This 1948 Chevrolet Style Master feels exactly like that kind of car. The seller keeps the description simple, saying only, "Awesome car, see to appreciate." And honestly, that short statement says a lot. Certain classic cars are difficult to fully capture through photos or specifications because their true appeal comes from seeing them in person. The proportions, the stance, the shine of the paint, and the overall personality they carry on the road. Finished in gold with a tan interior, this Style Master immediately gives off a warm and elegant appearance that fits perfectly with late 1940s American automotive design. Cars from this era were built during a major transition period in the United States, just after World War II, when manufacturers began introducing smoother body lines and more refined styling. The result was a generation of vehicles that looked both sturdy and stylish at the same time. The gold exterior gives this Chevrolet a softer, more upscale look compared to the darker colors commonly seen on classic customs. Under sunlight, gold paint tends to highlight the curves and flowing lines of the body, emphasizing the rounded fenders and long profile that make these late 1940s Chevrolets so recognizable. Inside, the tan interior complements the exterior color nicely and creates a clean vintage atmosphere. Unlike modern cars packed with screens and technology, cabins like this feel simple and intentional. Every detail is mechanical, direct, and connected to the driving experience itself. According to the listing, the car is equipped with an automatic transmission, which makes it easier to enjoy as a cruiser compared to older manual-only classics. That upgrade alone can make a huge difference for buyers who want a vintage car experience without constantly dealing with heavy clutch pedals or complicated shifting. The seller reports approximately 19,000 miles on the vehicle, along with a clean title and no significant damage or major problems. It has also reportedly had only 2 owners, which is fairly uncommon for a car that is now approaching 80 years old. Limited ownership history often suggests a vehicle that may have been better preserved or cared for throughout its lifetime. This particular Chevrolet Style Master, 1948 Chevrolet Style Master, represents a style of American automobile that is becoming increasingly appreciated in the classic car world. While muscle cars from the 1960s often dominate headlines and auctions, cars from the late 1940s carry a completely different type of charm. They reflect an era when driving was slower, more elegant, and more focused on comfort and craftsmanship. Imagine cruising this Chevrolet down an old highway at sunset. The rounded hood stretching out in front of you, the soft sound of the engine humming beneath the cabin, and the smooth body lines reflecting light as you pass by. Cars like this are not built for speed. They're built for atmosphere. What makes vehicles like the Style Master special is their ability to transport people back in time. Even those who never lived through the 1940s can instantly feel the nostalgia these cars create. They remind people of old diners, neon signs, drive-in theaters, and the golden age of American cruising culture. At the asking price of $30,000, this Chevrolet positions itself as a clean and visually appealing classic cruiser rather than a rough project car. The combination of the gold exterior, automatic transmission, clean title, and reportedly strong condition makes it attractive to collectors who want something distinctive and ready to enjoy. In the end, this 1948 Chevrolet Style Master is more than just a vintage vehicle listing. It is a rolling reminder of a different era in automotive history, an era when style, simplicity, and craftsmanship defined what made a car truly memorable. Number 5. This 1936 Ford three-window coupe, currently listed at $41,000, is located in Englewood, Colorado. There are classic cars, and then there are legendary hot rod icons. The 1936 Ford three-window coupe has long been considered one of the most desirable platforms in American custom car culture, and this particular build perfectly captures the timeless appeal of old-school style blended with modern drivability. Finished in black with a brown interior, this coupe delivers the kind of aggressive yet elegant appearance that made 1930s Ford Coupes famous among collectors, builders, and hot rod enthusiasts for generations. The sleek body lines, chopped-looking roof profile, and iconic three-window design give this car an unmistakable presence, even while standing still. Unlike a fully original restoration, this Ford has been upgraded with modern performance components, transforming it into a much more comfortable and reliable street machine. Under the hood sits a proven Chevrolet 350 V8 engine paired with a turbo 350 automatic transmission, commonly referred to as a 350 setup in the hot rod world. This combination has become legendary for its simplicity, reliability, and strong street performance. The small block Chevy V8 is one of the most popular engines ever used in classic custom builds because it delivers dependable power, easy maintenance, and endless aftermarket support. Combined with the automatic transmission, this coupe becomes far easier and more enjoyable to drive than many original pre-war classics. Another major upgrade is the Mustang II front suspension setup. This modification is extremely common in high-quality street rods because it significantly improves steering response, ride comfort, and handling characteristics. Compared to the original suspension design from the 1930s, the Mustang II system provides a far more modern driving experience while maintaining the vintage appearance of the car. Out back, the vehicle features a 10-bolt rear end, another trusted component often used in performance-oriented builds. Together, these upgrades create a balanced combination of classic looks and modern mechanical reliability. What also separates this coupe from many older hot rods is the addition of comfort features such as power windows and air conditioning. These upgrades make the vehicle far more practical for real-world driving, especially during long cruises or summer events. Many vintage builds sacrifice comfort for style, but this Ford manages to offer both. The black exterior gives the car a sinister, timeless look that perfectly complements the curves of the 1936 Ford body. Black paint on a classic coupe has always carried a certain presence. Simple, clean, and intimidating without needing flashy graphics or excessive chrome. Inside, the brown interior adds warmth and sophistication to the cabin. The contrast between the dark exterior and rich interior tones creates a balanced custom appearance that feels both classic and refined. The listing shows an odometer reading of 999,966 miles, which is almost certainly not the actual mileage of the build. In the world of classic cars and custom hot rods, mileage often becomes secondary because many components have been replaced, rebuilt, or upgraded over time. What matters more is the quality of the build and the condition of the vehicle itself. According to the seller, the coupe has a clean title, is fully paid off, and has no significant damage or problems reported. That is important because many vintage hot rods can come with unfinished details, questionable workmanship, or incomplete paperwork. This example appears to be presented as a complete, sorted-out street rod ready for its next owner. Driving a car like this is about much more than transportation. It is about the feeling of commanding a machine that represents nearly a century of American automotive culture. The sound of the V8 engine, the low seating position, the long steel hood stretching out ahead of you. Every moment behind the wheel feels dramatic and memorable. Cars like this also carry a special place within hot rod history. The 1936 Ford Coupe became a favorite among custom builders after World War II, eventually turning into one of the defining shapes of American street rod culture. Even today, enthusiasts consider the three-window coupe one of the ultimate classic custom platforms. At $41,000, this 1936 Ford Coupe represents more than just an old vehicle. It is a carefully upgraded street rod that combines vintage styling, proven mechanical upgrades, and modern comfort features into one iconic package. This is the type of car that draws attention everywhere it goes. Not because it tries too hard, but because its design and presence speak for themselves. Nearly 90 years after it was first built, the legendary Ford Coupe still remains one of the coolest silhouettes ever created in automotive history. Number 6. This 1941 Plymouth 3-passenger coupe, currently listed at $13,000 in Fort Mojave, Arizona, is a rare pre-war American classic that delivers timeless styling, vintage character, and the kind of old-school driving experience that modern cars simply cannot reproduce. Vehicles from the early 1940s hold a special place in automotive history. Production during this era was limited because the United States would soon shift its industrial focus toward World War II. As a result, many cars from this period became increasingly rare over the decades, especially coupes that survived in running and driving condition. That rarity alone gives this Plymouth a unique appeal among collectors and vintage car enthusiasts. The first thing that stands out about this coupe is its unmistakable pre-war design. The rounded fenders, flowing body lines, split-style front grille, and compact coupe proportions reflect a time when automobiles were built with elegance and individuality rather than aggressive modern styling. Every angle of this Plymouth carries the charm of 1940s American craftsmanship. Finished in yellow with a brown interior, this car has a warm and nostalgic appearance that perfectly matches its vintage personality. The yellow exterior gives it a brighter and more eye-catching presence compared to the darker factory colors often seen on vehicles from this era. Combined with the brown interior, the car delivers a classic and welcoming look that immediately feels authentic to the period. According to the seller, this Plymouth underwent an older restoration. That detail is important because it suggests the car has already been preserved and cared for rather than sitting untouched and deteriorating over time. Many vintage vehicles require expensive restoration work before they can even be driven, but this coupe appears to have already gone through that stage and remains roadworthy today. The seller also mentions that the car runs fine and is a solid old car, which is exactly what many classic car enthusiasts hope to hear when shopping for a pre-war vehicle. Solid body condition is especially important for vehicles from the early 1940s because rust and structural deterioration are common problems after decades of exposure and age. A solid example like this can save future owners significant restoration costs and allow them to focus more on enjoying the car. Under the hood, this Plymouth maintains the classic mechanical simplicity that defined automobiles of the era. Paired with a manual transmission, the car offers a driving experience that feels completely different from anything modern. There are no electronic driving assists, touchscreens, or automated systems. Instead, every action feels mechanical, connected, and intentional. Driving a car like this requires involvement. Shifting gears, steering through corners, and hearing the sounds of the engine all become part of the experience. That connection between driver and machine is one of the reasons why so many enthusiasts continue to appreciate vintage vehicles decades after they were built. The 3-passenger coupe body style also adds a level of uniqueness to this Plymouth. Unlike larger family sedans of the era, coupe models carried a sportier and more personal feel. They were often favored by drivers who wanted something stylish and compact while still maintaining the comfort and elegance expected from American automobiles of the time. One of the most attractive qualities of cars like this is their versatility within the collector world. Some enthusiasts prefer preserving them as close to original as possible, while others enjoy lightly customizing them into traditional hot rods or vintage cruisers. This Plymouth could easily fit either direction, depending on the vision of the next owner. The Arizona location is another positive factor because dry climates often help preserve older vehicles better than humid environments. Cars from dry regions frequently experience less rust and corrosion over the years, which may contribute to the solid condition described by the seller. Beyond its physical condition and styling, this Plymouth represents a completely different era of American life. It comes from a time when cars were designed with personality craftsmanship, and durability at the center of the experience. Every detail, from the rounded steel body to the simple mechanical controls, reflects an automotive philosophy that no longer exists in today's industry. For classic car enthusiasts, owning a vehicle like this is about more than transportation. It is about preserving history, enjoying craftsmanship, and experiencing what driving once felt like generations ago. Cars like this naturally attract attention wherever they go because they carry a presence and authenticity that modern vehicles simply cannot imitate. Whether used as a weekend cruiser, displayed at local car shows, or preserved as part of a growing collection, this 1941 Plymouth 3-passenger coupe continues to offer timeless appeal and nostalgic charm. In the end, this is more than just an old Plymouth. It is a surviving piece of pre-war American automotive history. A car that still runs, still drives, and still tells the story of an era when automobiles were built with simplicity, style, and lasting character. Number 7. This 1952 Chevrolet Tin Woody, currently listed at $26,500 and located in North Salt Lake, Utah, is a rare and beautifully preserved classic wagon that captures the charm, style, and personality of early 1950s American motoring. The moment you see this car, it immediately stands apart from ordinary classics. The Chevrolet Tin Woody wagons have become highly sought after among collectors because they represent the transition from traditional wood-bodied wagons to the all-steel designs that would eventually dominate the automotive industry. Even though it carries the iconic Woody styling appearance, this model uses steel body construction, giving owners the vintage look without the maintenance challenges of real wood paneling. Finished in green with a rich burgundy interior, this wagon has a color combination that perfectly fits the era. The exterior has that warm, nostalgic 1950s appearance that instantly feels at home at classic car shows, weekend cruises, or parked under the lights at a local drive-in event. Its rounded body lines, chrome trim, and long wagon roof create a timeless silhouette that modern vehicles simply cannot imitate. According to the seller, this Chevrolet is in super clean condition with no rust, which is a major advantage for a vehicle that is now more than 70 years old. Rust is often one of the biggest concerns with vintage wagons, especially models with large body panels and cargo areas. So hearing that this example remains solid adds significant appeal. The paint is described as being in good condition, maintaining the car's attractive presentation while preserving its vintage character. Combined with brand new tires, the car appears ready to be enjoyed immediately rather than needing major cosmetic attention. One of the standout features of this Tin Woody is the interior. The seller states that the burgundy interior is like brand new, suggesting that the cabin has either been exceptionally preserved or carefully restored to maintain its original look. Inside, the wagon delivers the spacious and comfortable atmosphere that made American family wagons so popular during the early 1950s. Under the hood, this Chevrolet is equipped with an automatic transmission, offering a relaxed and easy driving experience that suits the car's personality perfectly. Classic wagons like this were designed more for smooth cruising and comfortable travel than aggressive performance. And that is exactly where this vehicle shines. The seller also notes that the wagon runs and drives straight down the road, which is an important detail for any vintage vehicle. A classic car that tracks properly and drives smoothly is often a sign that the suspension, steering, and chassis have been properly maintained over time. Good glass all around further adds to the car's practicality and overall presentation. What makes vehicles like this especially desirable today is their rarity. Many vintage wagons were used heavily by families throughout the decades, meaning far fewer survive compared to coupes or sedans. Finding a clean Tin Woody in this kind of condition is becoming increasingly difficult, which is why the seller emphasizes how hard these cars are to find. Driving a wagon like this is about much more than transportation. It is about stepping into a different era of American life, a time when road trips were slower, family cars had real personality, and chrome-covered dashboards reflected the optimism of post-war America. This Chevrolet also carries a certain versatility in the classic car world. It can fit into traditional restoration circles, custom cruiser culture, or even modern vintage lifestyle events. Whether parked at a local car meet or cruising through town on a summer evening, it has the kind of nostalgic presence that naturally attracts attention. At an asking price of $26,500, this 1952 Chevrolet Tinwoody offers an opportunity to own one of the most charming and distinctive wagon designs of the early 1950s. With its clean condition, rust-free body, refreshed interior, and strong road manners, it represents a classic American wagon that is ready to be appreciated and enjoyed for years to come. More than just a vintage Chevrolet, this Tinwoody feels like a rolling snapshot of post-war Americana, an era where cars were built with style, simplicity, and character that still resonates decades later. Number 8. This 1953 Ford Crown Victoria, currently listed at $9,000, is located in Casper, Wyoming. This classic 1953 Ford represents the charm and simplicity of early 1950s American motoring, a time when cars were designed with bold styling, heavy chrome accents, and smooth flowing body lines that made every vehicle stand out on the road. Even today, these early Ford Coupes continue to attract attention for their unmistakable vintage personality and nostalgic driving experience. Finished in a beautiful turquoise exterior paired with a gray interior, this Ford immediately captures the spirit of the 1950s. The turquoise paint gives the car a bright and cheerful appearance that perfectly matches the optimistic design language of post-war America. Combined with the clean chrome details and classic two-door profile, the car carries the kind of visual presence that modern vehicles simply cannot replicate. According to the seller, this Ford is equipped with the original inline-six engine paired with Ford's early Ford-O-Matic automatic transmission. During the early 1950s, automatic transmissions were still a relatively modern luxury feature, making vehicles like this especially comfortable and easy to drive compared to many other classics of the era. The inline-six engine is known for its simplicity, smooth operation, and long-term durability. While it may not produce the aggressive power of a V8, it offers relaxed cruising characteristics that fit the personality of this car perfectly. It was designed more for comfortable, everyday driving than outright performance, which is exactly what makes classics like this enjoyable today. One of the most interesting details mentioned by the seller is that the vehicle still retains its original 6-volt positive ground electrical system. For collectors and enthusiasts who appreciate authenticity, this is an important feature because it preserves the car's original engineering and historical character. Unlike heavily modified street rods or custom builds, this Ford appears to remain close to its factory roots. That originality gives the vehicle a very genuine vintage feel, both mechanically and visually. Driving it is less about speed and more about experiencing what American roads felt like during the early 1950s. The seller describes the car as a decent cruiser, and that phrase perfectly fits the personality of this Ford. It is the type of vehicle built for relaxed weekend drives, local car meets, scenic highways, and enjoying the open road at a comfortable pace. With approximately 85,000 miles, this Ford has clearly been driven and enjoyed over the years rather than hidden away in storage. For many classic enthusiasts, that actually adds to the car's appeal because it suggests the vehicle has remained functional and alive throughout its lifetime. The clean title and reported absence of significant damage or major problems also help make this vehicle more attractive to buyers looking for an affordable entry into the classic car world. Many vintage cars at this price point require major restoration work, but this example appears to already be a running and usable classic. Inside the cabin, the gray interior complements the bright exterior nicely and helps preserve the car's authentic mid-century atmosphere. Large bench seating, simple controls, and straightforward dashboard styling all reflect the design philosophy of the era: comfortable, durable, and uncomplicated. The early 1950s were a unique period in automotive history because manufacturers were transitioning from pre-war engineering into the more modern styling and technology that would dominate the later decade. Cars like this 1953 Ford sit right in the middle of that transformation, combining old-school simplicity with emerging modern comforts like automatic transmissions. Today, surviving examples like this continue to attract collectors because they represent an important chapter in American automotive culture. They are not overly complicated, heavily computerized, or difficult to understand. Instead, they deliver a raw and honest driving experience that feels connected to a completely different era. At $9,000, this 1953 Ford offers a surprisingly accessible opportunity to own a genuine vintage American coupe with classic styling, original mechanical character, and road-ready usability. This is the type of classic car that reminds people why vintage automobiles remain special, not because of speed or technology, but because of personality, history, and the simple joy of driving something truly timeless. Number 9. This 1951 Chevrolet Classic, currently listed at $15,000, is located in Eagle Mountain, Utah. There's something about early 1950s Chevrolets that never goes out of style. Maybe it's the rounded body lines, the simple chrome details, or the feeling of old-school American cruising culture they represent. Whatever the reason, cars like this continue to attract attention decades later, especially when they've been preserved and upgraded enough to still enjoy on the road today. This particular 1951 Chevrolet stands out because it combines originality, drivability, and rarity all in one package. Finished in black with a matching black interior, the car carries a clean and aggressive appearance that gives it a timeless street cruiser vibe. Black paint on vintage Chevrolets always seems to enhance the body curves and long flowing lines, giving the car a stronger road presence without needing excessive customization. According to the seller, this Chevy is powered by a completely rebuilt 236 engine equipped with a cam upgrade. That detail alone suggests the motor was built not just for reliability, but also to add a little extra personality and performance compared to a stock setup. Classic inline-six engines like the 236 are known for their smooth operation and unique sound, and with a rebuilt setup, this car likely feels far more alive than many untouched originals from the same era. The car retains a manual transmission, which is a major part of the authentic vintage driving experience. Driving a manual classic from the early 1950s feels completely different from operating modern vehicles. Every shift feels mechanical and connected, giving the driver a much stronger sense of involvement with the car itself. One important modernization mentioned by the seller is the 12-volt conversion. Older vehicles originally used 6-volt electrical systems, which can sometimes create reliability or compatibility issues with modern accessories and maintenance. By converting the car to 12 volts, this Chevrolet becomes far more practical and dependable for regular cruising while still maintaining its vintage identity. The seller also highlights one of the biggest selling points of this vehicle. It is a rare business coupe. In the classic car world, business coupes are especially desirable because of their unique configuration and lower production numbers compared to standard sedans or coupes. Originally, business coupes were designed for traveling salesmen and professionals who needed additional cargo space rather than rear passenger seating. That unusual layout gives these cars a slightly different profile and makes them more collectible today. Finding a surviving business coupe in running condition has become increasingly difficult over the years. This particular Chevrolet Classic, 1951 Chevrolet Classic, reportedly has only around 500 miles since the engine rebuild, which suggests the mechanical work is still very fresh. The seller also mentions that the vehicle runs and drives fine, making it more than just a static project or unfinished restoration. Interestingly, the car has already received recognition at local shows, winning awards for Rising Star and Potential Build. That says a lot about how people react to the vehicle in person. Even without a full high-end restoration, the car clearly has the kind of presence that attracts attention from enthusiasts and spectators alike. Imagine pulling into a classic car meet with this Chevy. The black paint reflecting under parking lot lights, the sound of the rebuilt inline-six idling smoothly, and people walking over to ask questions because they rarely see business coupes anymore. Cars like this naturally create conversations because they carry a level of authenticity modern vehicles simply cannot reproduce. The asking price of $15,000 places this Chevrolet in a very interesting position within the classic car market. It is not priced like a fully restored showpiece, but it also offers much more character and rarity than a typical project car. For someone looking to enter the vintage car scene with something unique and drivable, this could be a strong option. The seller also mentions being open to trades for a more modern vehicle, including older Corvettes, which adds flexibility for potential buyers who may already own collector cars or performance vehicles. In the end, this 1951 Chevrolet Business Coupe represents more than just transportation. It reflects a forgotten era of American automotive design, where vehicles were built with individuality, craftsmanship, and unmistakable character. Whether kept as a cruiser, lightly customized further, or fully restored down the road, this Chevy already carries the kind of personality that makes classic cars memorable. Number 10. This 1950 Dodge Wayfarer Businessman's Coupe, currently listed at $16,900, is located in Los Ranchos de Albuquerque, New Mexico. This beautiful post-war American classic represents a time when automobiles were built with simplicity, durability, and unmistakable style. The 1950 Dodge Wayfarer is not a car you see every day, especially in this condition, and its rare businessman's coupe configuration makes it even more unique among vintage American classics. At first glance, the car immediately captures attention with its bold red exterior paired with a tan interior, creating a timeless color combination that perfectly matches the elegant styling of early 1950s automobiles. The flowing body lines, rounded fenders, and long coupe profile give the Dodge a graceful appearance that reflects the optimism and design philosophy of post-war America. Unlike modern vehicles filled with screens and technology, cars like this were designed around pure driving experience and mechanical simplicity. Every detail, from the chrome accents to the oversized steering wheel, reminds you of an era when driving was more personal and connected. One of the most interesting aspects of this Dodge is its businessman's coupe body style. During the late 1940s and early 1950s, these coupes were often marketed toward traveling salesmen and business professionals who needed extra interior cargo space instead of a traditional rear seat. As a result, many businessman's coupes featured large storage areas, making them both stylish and practical for long-distance travel. Under the hood, this Wayfarer has received several important maintenance upgrades that improve reliability while preserving its classic character. According to the seller, the vehicle has a new radiator, carburetor, and 6-volt battery. These are important improvements because cooling systems and fuel delivery components are critical on vintage cars, especially for owners planning to drive them regularly. The addition of an electric fuel pump is another useful upgrade that helps improve fuel flow and starting reliability. Many classic car owners install electric fuel pumps to reduce common fuel delivery problems associated with older mechanical systems, especially in warmer climates or after long storage periods. The seller describes the car as running amazing and confidently states that it is ready to travel anywhere. That is a strong compliment for a vehicle that is more than 75 years old. Many classic cars spend their lives parked in garages or requiring constant repairs, but this Dodge appears to remain a usable and roadworthy cruiser. The vehicle does have a few minor needs, which the seller openly mentions. The rubber brake lines should be replaced because the brakes feel somewhat soft or mushy, and the seat upholstery could use refreshing. However, these are relatively manageable issues for a classic vehicle of this age and do not appear to take away from its overall drivability. In many ways, these small imperfections actually add to the authenticity of the car. They remind potential buyers that this is still a real vintage automobile with history, personality, and character, not a sterile, over-restored museum piece. With approximately 152,500 miles shown, this Dodge has clearly spent decades on the road, continuing to serve its owners. That long history adds to the charm of the vehicle. Every mile represents another chapter in the life of a classic American coupe that has managed to survive generations of changing automotive trends. Driving a car like this today is about far more than transportation. It is about slowing down and appreciating the experience. The sound of the engine, the soft ride, the large steering wheel, and the commanding view of the road all combine to create a driving sensation that modern cars simply cannot duplicate. This Dodge Wayfarer is the kind of vehicle that attracts attention everywhere it goes, not because it is flashy, but because it carries authentic vintage charm. People do not just see an old car. They see a piece of American history still alive and moving under its own power. At $16,900, this 1950 Dodge Businessman's Coupe offers a rare opportunity to own a distinctive and usable classic car with timeless styling, solid mechanical updates, and genuine character. This is more than just an old Dodge. It is a survivor from the golden age of American motoring, a reminder of simpler times, and a classic coupe that still has plenty of stories left to tell on the open road. Number 11. This 1950 Ford Custom, currently listed at $29,500 in Castle Rock, Colorado, is a beautifully customized American classic that blends timeless post-war styling with upgraded performance and modern cruising comfort. The early 1950s marked the beginning of a new era for American automobiles. Manufacturers were moving away from the heavy pre-war designs and beginning to experiment with smoother body lines, improved comfort, and more stylish appearances. The 1950 Ford Custom became one of the standout models of that transition period, offering sleek styling that would later make it a favorite among hot rod builders and custom car enthusiasts for generations. What makes this particular Ford especially appealing is the way it combines vintage design with tasteful modifications that improve both drivability and overall road presence. While the exterior still preserves the unmistakable character of a classic 1950 Ford, the mechanical upgrades underneath transform it into a much more capable and enjoyable cruiser. Under the hood sits a 327 Chevy engine, one of the most respected and recognizable V8 engines in American automotive history. Known for its durability, strong performance, and smooth power delivery, the 327 has become a popular choice in the custom car world for decades. This upgrade gives the car a more powerful and reliable driving experience compared to many original factory drivetrains from the era. Paired with the engine is a turbo 350 automatic transmission, commonly referred to as the TH350. This transmission is highly regarded for its simplicity, reliability, and smooth shifting characteristics. Together, the engine and transmission combination create a setup that allows this Ford to perform comfortably in modern driving conditions while still retaining its vintage identity. Another major upgrade mentioned by the seller is power steering. For classic cars from this era, power steering makes a noticeable difference in everyday usability. Older vehicles often require significant effort to maneuver at low speeds, but this upgrade improves handling and makes the car much easier and more comfortable to drive, especially during longer cruises or city driving. Visually, the car captures the spirit of traditional American custom culture. The burgundy exterior gives the vehicle a rich and elegant appearance that perfectly complements the smooth body lines of the 1954 design. Burgundy is a color that works exceptionally well on vintage cars because it highlights the curves and chrome details without appearing overly flashy. The custom paint and body presentation help give the car a refined yet aggressive stance on the road. The two-door hardtop body style adds even more appeal, creating a sleek profile that naturally attracts attention. Hardtops from this era are especially desirable because they combine the open, stylish feel of a convertible with the practicality and structure of a coupe. Inside, the custom gray interior continues the upgraded theme of the build. While maintaining the spirit of a classic car, the interior likely offers improved comfort and materials compared to factory original designs from 1950. Custom interiors are often one of the most appreciated features in vintage builds because they make the driving experience more enjoyable without sacrificing the car's nostalgic atmosphere. The seller notes that the vehicle has only 1,078 miles listed, which may indicate mileage since restoration or since major work was completed. That low number suggests the car has seen limited use following its upgrades and customization, helping preserve its condition and presentation. One of the reasons custom classic cars like this remain so popular is because they combine the best aspects of different eras. They preserve the visual beauty and craftsmanship of vintage American design while incorporating modernized performance and drivability. This allows enthusiasts to enjoy classic styling without dealing with many of the limitations that fully original vehicles can have. Cars like this are built to be driven and enjoyed. Whether cruising through town, attending weekend car shows, or taking long scenic highway drives, this Ford Custom offers the type of relaxed and confident driving experience that defines classic American cruising culture. The 1954 body style also has deep roots in custom car history. For decades, these cars have been favorites among hot rodders and builders because of their smooth lines and endless customization possibilities. Seeing one already completed with tasteful upgrades saves future owners the time, expense, and effort of building a custom project from scratch. For collectors and enthusiasts, this Ford represents more than just transportation. It represents creativity, craftsmanship, and the enduring popularity of American custom car culture. Every detail, from the engine swap to the custom interior, reflects a passion for preserving classic style while improving the driving experience. Whether displayed at local car events, driven on weekend cruises, or added to a private collection, this 1954 Custom continues to stand out with its combination of vintage personality and upgraded performance. In the end, this is more than just a classic Ford. It is a fully realized custom cruiser that honors the spirit of post-war American automotive culture while delivering the comfort, style, and drivability enthusiasts still appreciate today. Number 12. This 1950 Chevrolet Coupe, currently listed at $20,000 and located in Englewood, Colorado, is a classic custom build with old-school hot rod attitude, blending vintage 1950s styling with upgraded performance components that give it a far more aggressive personality than it originally had from the factory. At first glance, this Chevy immediately captures the spirit of traditional American hot rod culture. The rounded coupe body lines, classic proportions, and unmistakable early 1950s styling create the perfect foundation for a custom street machine. Finished in green with a gray interior, the car carries a raw, unfinished character that feels authentic to the hands-on garage-built hot rod scene. Unlike fully restored trailer queens that rarely leave the garage, this Chevrolet feels more like a driver-focused build designed to be enjoyed on the street. It is the kind of car that attracts attention not because it is overly polished, but because it has personality and mechanical presence. Under the hood sits a Chevrolet 350 small block V8 with a 4-bolt main setup, one of the most respected and widely loved engines in American performance history. Known for reliability, strong torque, and endless aftermarket support, the Chevy 350 has powered countless muscle cars, hot rods, and race cars for decades. In a lightweight 1950 coupe like this, that engine combination gives the car a much more aggressive driving experience compared to its original factory setup. Backing the V8 is a Saginaw 3-speed manual transmission, adding to the traditional hot rod feel. Driving a manual classic like this creates a much more connected and mechanical experience, where every shift feels intentional and raw. It is the kind of setup enthusiasts appreciate because it keeps the car simple, engaging, and true to old-school performance culture. The drivetrain upgrades continue with a 1980 Pontiac Trans AM Positraction rear end fitted with 4.10 gears. That combination suggests this Chevy was built with acceleration and street performance in mind. Lower gearing like 4.10S gives the car quicker response off the line and adds to the aggressive personality that many hot rod owners look for. According to the seller, the car still needs a few finishing touches. Items mentioned include installing the battery, shocks, starter, drive shaft, and mounting the exhaust system. However, new pipes and mufflers are already included with the vehicle, which helps reduce some of the remaining work needed to complete the build. The seller takes a straightforward approach by stating, "What you see is what you get," which gives the listing an honest project car feel rather than overselling the vehicle. For many classic car enthusiasts, that transparency is actually appreciated because it provides a realistic starting point for the next owner. Another interesting feature is the updated horseless carriage plate registration. In many states, special classic vehicle registrations like this can reduce annual registration requirements and preserve the car's vintage status. The seller notes that the plates will transfer with the new owner, adding another unique touch to the car's identity. This Chevrolet also comes with a title in the seller's name, which is always an important detail when dealing with custom classic builds. The seller is additionally open to trades, specifically mentioning interest in a Tri-5 Chevy of similar value, showing that this car is clearly aimed toward fellow classic Chevrolet enthusiasts. What makes this coupe especially appealing is its potential. It already has the foundation of a serious traditional hot rod, V8 power, manual transmission, performance rear end, and classic styling. With just a bit more work, it could easily become a strong street cruiser, local show car, or weekend performance build. Driving a car like this is completely different from driving a modern vehicle. It is louder, more mechanical, more physical, and far more engaging. Every vibration, every gear shift, and every sound from the exhaust reminds you that this machine was built during an era when driving was about feel and personality rather than comfort and technology. At an asking price of $20,000 or best offer, this 1950 Chevrolet Coupe offers an opportunity to own a vintage American hot rod project with solid performance components already in place. For the right enthusiast, it represents not just a car, but a chance to finish and personalize a classic build that already carries the soul of traditional hot rodding. Number 13. This 1944 Deluxe, currently listed at $31,900, is located in Denver, Colorado. This beautifully preserved 1944 Deluxe represents one of the most iconic eras of American automotive history. Known for its elegant styling, rounded fenders, and unmistakable pre-war design, the 1940 Ford has remained a legendary favorite among collectors, hot rod builders, and vintage car enthusiasts for decades. Finished in a rich blue exterior paired with a brown interior, this Ford delivers a timeless color combination that perfectly complements its classic body lines. The deep blue paint gives the car a refined and sophisticated appearance, while the warm brown interior adds a touch of vintage luxury that feels authentic to the era. With just over 7,200 miles shown, this vehicle appears to have been carefully maintained and preserved. The seller describes it as being in very good condition with a clean title and no significant damage or problems reported, making it an attractive option for enthusiasts searching for a ready-to-enjoy classic. One of the most important aspects of this Ford is that it retains its manual transmission, preserving the true driving experience of a 1940s American automobile. Driving a classic car like this is a completely different experience compared to modern vehicles. Every shift, every turn of the steering wheel, and every sound from the engine creates a stronger connection between the driver and the machine. Unlike today's electronically assisted cars, vehicles from this era feel raw, mechanical, and deeply engaging. That authentic driving character is one of the main reasons collectors continue to seek out pre-war classics like the 1944 Deluxe. The design itself is what truly makes these cars timeless. The rounded hood, flowing fenders, chrome accents, and wide stance create a look that instantly stands out even among modern luxury cars. Many enthusiasts consider the 1940 Ford one of the most beautiful American car designs ever produced because it perfectly balanced elegance and simplicity before automotive styling dramatically changed after World War II. This particular example appears to be more than just a showpiece. It is the kind of classic that can comfortably fit into both car show environments and weekend cruising events. The seller mentions additional photos are available, suggesting confidence in the vehicle's presentation and overall condition. Another interesting detail is that the dealership offering the vehicle operates from an enormous showroom in Denver featuring hundreds of consignment vehicles. That type of environment often attracts serious collectors and enthusiasts, which can add credibility and visibility to vehicles like this Ford Deluxe. For buyers located outside Colorado, the seller also mentions shipping and financing options are available. That flexibility makes the car more accessible to collectors nationwide who may be searching specifically for a clean and well-presented 1940 Ford. What makes this car especially appealing is its balance between usability and historical charm. Some vintage vehicles become overly modified or lose their original personality during restoration, But this Ford appears to retain the classic atmosphere and driving feel that make pre-war American cars so memorable. The brown interior likely provides a warm and inviting cabin environment that perfectly suits the era of the vehicle. Large seating areas, simple gauges, and straightforward controls all contribute to the nostalgic feeling of stepping back into another generation of automotive design. Cars like this are not about speed or advanced technology. Instead, they represent craftsmanship, style, and the emotional connection people have with vintage automobiles. Every detail, from the chrome trim to the manual transmission, reflects a time when driving itself was considered a special experience. In today's classic car market, well-maintained 1944 Deluxe models continue to hold strong appeal because of their recognizable design and strong enthusiast following. They are respected across multiple generations of collectors and are often seen as cornerstone vehicles in vintage American car culture. At $31,900, this 1944 Deluxe offers the opportunity to own a piece of automotive history that still carries both road presence and collector value. This is more than just a classic coupe. It is a symbol of an era when American automobiles were designed with style, personality, and craftsmanship that still capture attention more than 80 years later. Number 14. This 1939 Ford Standard sedan, currently listed at $14,000, is located in St. George, Utah. This is the kind of classic car that perfectly captures the raw spirit of traditional American hot rodding. It's not a polished trailer queen, and it's not pretending to be a flawless restoration either. According to the seller, this Ford is a true jalopy, meaning it has been updated, rebuilt where necessary, and made into a reliable driver while still proudly showing its age, imperfections, and personality. And honestly, that's exactly what makes it cool. Finished in hot rod flats paint with a gold exterior and gray interior, this 1939 Ford has the rough around the edges look that many traditional hot rod enthusiasts actually prefer. The dents, scratches, and unfinished door jambs are not hidden. They're part of the car's identity. Instead of chasing perfection, this build embraces authenticity and functionality, giving it the kind of character you simply cannot fake. Under the hood sits a rebuilt 312 Y-block Ford engine from the 1955 to 1956 era, paired with a rebuilt Ford-O-Matic 2-speed automatic transmission. The Y-block engines are legendary among Ford enthusiasts because of their unmistakable sound, strong low-end torque, and old-school V8 personality. When you hear one running, it immediately feels different from modern engines, deeper, rougher, and far more mechanical. The seller also mentions that the Ford 8-inch rear differential has been rebuilt, along with the suspension components. It rides on rebuilt 1956 Ford rear leaf springs and a Posey's drop front leaf spring setup, combined with a real old-school dropped I-beam front axle. That suspension combination gives the car the classic hot rod stance enthusiasts love. Low, aggressive, and unmistakably vintage. Up front, the car has been upgraded with a Speedway disc brake kit, while the rear still uses drum brakes. The braking system is boosted and mounted under the floor, blending modern stopping ability with old-school engineering aesthetics. Along with new brake lines, new brakes, and new fuel lines connected to an aluminum fuel tank, the seller clearly focused heavily on reliability and drivability. That reliability is actually one of the biggest selling points here. The owner specifically states that this car gets driven everywhere, including road trips and vacations to car shows. That's important because many vintage hot rods look impressive but rarely leave the garage. This Ford, however, has already proven itself as a usable and dependable cruiser. The seller even mentions that 64 miles per hour is its sweet spot on the highway, which adds a surprisingly human touch to the listing. It paints a picture of someone genuinely enjoying the car on long drives rather than simply displaying it for attention. Inside, the interior is described honestly as well. It uses different seats modified to fit rather than a full custom luxury setup. Again, this reflects the true jalopy philosophy. Build it functional, make it reliable, and enjoy driving it instead of obsessing over perfection. One especially cool detail is that 1939 was the last year for Ford's crank-out windshield design. For vintage Ford fans, that feature alone adds charm and uniqueness because it represents a very specific moment in automotive history before styling and engineering changed dramatically in the following decades. This particular Ford Standard sedan, 1939 Ford Standard sedan, reportedly has around 10,000 miles and comes with a paid-off status. More importantly, it carries something many restored classics lose over time: personality. Imagine cruising down an old desert highway in southern Utah with this machine. The Y-block V8 rumbling through the exhaust, the low hot rod stance hugging the road, and the wind coming through that classic crank-out windshield. It's not just transportation. It's an experience rooted in the golden era of American hot rod culture. At the asking price of $14,000, this Ford stands out as a relatively affordable entry into the traditional hot rod world. Considering the rebuilt drivetrain, upgraded brakes, suspension work, and proven road reliability, it offers far more than just visual nostalgia. In the end, this 1939 Ford Standard sedan is not about perfection. It's about freedom, personality, and the spirit of driving something built with passion instead of polish. It's the kind of car that tells stories every time it fires up, and for the right buyer, that matters far more than flawless paint or showroom condition. Number 15. This 1960 Chevrolet Corvair Coupe, currently listed at just $600, is located in Penrose, Colorado. Not every classic car begins as a polished collector piece. Some start as forgotten projects sitting quietly for decades, waiting for someone willing to take on the challenge of bringing them back to life. This 1960 Chevrolet Corvair is exactly that kind of opportunity, a rough but intriguing vintage project car with potential hidden beneath years of neglect. At first glance, the car still carries the unmistakable styling of the early Chevrolet Corvair lineup. Finished in blue with a matching blue interior, this coupe reflects the futuristic design language Chevrolet experimented with during the late 1950s and early 1960s. The Corvair was unlike almost anything else on American roads at the time, featuring compact dimensions, unique engineering, and styling that separated it from the large chrome-heavy sedans of the era. What made the Corvair especially famous was its unconventional rear-engine design. Instead of placing the engine up front like most American cars, Chevrolet mounted the air-cooled engine in the rear, giving the car a layout more similar to certain European vehicles of the time. Because of this, the Corvair became one of the most unique production cars ever built by Chevrolet. This particular example, however, is far from a ready-to-drive classic. The seller openly states that the vehicle is not running and does not come with a title. In addition, the engine is incomplete, the driver's side floor has rust damage, and one of the rear quarter windows is missing. The seller also admits they do not know much about the vehicle overall. For many buyers, those details might sound overwhelming. But in the world of classic car restoration, cars like this often attract a very specific type of enthusiast, someone who enjoys the challenge of rebuilding forgotten vehicles from the ground up. At only $600, this Corvair is clearly being sold as a full project car or potential parts donor. It will require extensive mechanical work, body repair, and likely a complete restoration process before returning to the road. The phrase "needs everything gone through" tells you exactly what kind of project this is. However, despite its condition, the car still offers value in several ways. The body style alone makes it interesting because early Corvair coupes have developed a dedicated following among collectors and vintage car enthusiasts over the years. Their unusual engineering and distinctive appearance continue to make them stand out even today. The seller mentions that the original wheels are included, though no extra parts come with the car. They also note interest in trades involving hot rod parts, oversized tires, and similar automotive equipment, which adds to the impression that this car has likely been sitting as part of a long-term hobby project. For someone experienced in restoration work, this Corvair could become the foundation for a creative custom build, a vintage cruiser, or even a period-correct restoration. It all depends on the vision, budget, and patience of the next owner. Cars like this are often less about immediate value and more about potential. Some enthusiasts see rust, missing parts, and mechanical problems. Others see an opportunity to rescue a forgotten piece of automotive history and slowly transform it back into something special. The 1960 Corvair also holds an important place in American automotive history because it represented Chevrolet's willingness to experiment with completely different engineering concepts. While controversial at times, the Corvair became one of the most talked about American cars of the 1960s and remains highly recognizable decades later. Owning a project like this is not easy. It requires time, tools, knowledge, and commitment. But for the right person, the reward comes from the process itself. The satisfaction of taking something abandoned and giving it a second chance on the road. At just $600, this 1960 Chevrolet Corvair is not being sold as a perfect classic car. It is being sold as an opportunity, a rough, incomplete, and challenging project that still carries the spirit of vintage American automotive history.